Okay, you're an existing GCC amongst the top 6 GCC cities of India, and you think it's time to explore a tier 2, 3 town of India for maybe an additional setup, a satellite center, whatever you call it. Which one would you consider and why? Hi, and welcome to Xfino's GCC Talent Podcast. And today's episode has a bit of a conflict of interest because amongst the tier 3 cities, I've chosen Udupi Mangaluru region to speak about today. Yes, there are about 220 GCC units amongst the tier 2, 3 cities, and I chose Udupi Mangaluru for a reason. And let's start by what do GCCs really look at when they go to a tier 2, 3 city. Clearly, they want readily deployable talent because year one, definitely they're going to buy talent, aren't they? So they're going to hire laterals so that they can set the center up and running. And of course, if you have a service provider benefit, you also borrow talent from them. And maybe at a later stage, they want to build talent, hire freshers and train them. So build, buy, borrow, depending on whichever order suits you. So when you go to, let's say, Udupi Mangaluru, what would you look at? Are there enough talent whom are readily deployable? Two, are they adjacent talent? That means that they're working in some other industry, but can be deployed to a GCC. So let's say they're 60-70% from a function point of view ready, but they've not done GCC work. That's the only gap. And three, academic output, because you go to a city because the city or a town is fueled by the fresh graduates, getting out and getting into a job, because eventually you want to be independent and want to train talent as well. So Udupi Mangaluru region has all this. But you also have to understand what drives and what constitutes the region. So we released this report for what we call as the Silicon Beach landscape of talent recently. And in that, we mapped out what we call as the talent triangle. The talent triangle consists of Mangaluru to Karwar, the coastal line, the almost 300 kilometers, and then to the eastern side of it, almost another 300 kilometers up to about Hosadarga. And then there are three interesting triangle cohorts. The outer layer, of which I would say starts from the Hassan region, goes up to Karwar. That's one triangle, which has close to 6,000 people with the 1 year and above experience range. Then, if you carefully look at the graph, you'll see that the middle triangle consists of a region which is starting from, let's say, Madikeri, goes up to Murdeshwar. And there you have close to about 12,000 people whom you can consider for employment, who have experience. And then the innermost triangle, which is the most dense talent pool, which is starting from Mangaluru, going up to, let's say, Kundapur. So that's where you find almost 65,000 people, where Udupi and Mangaluru are the two hot spots amongst them. So that's what we call as the talent triangle for the region. Of course, you can extend it up to Kannur of Kerala, which is just about 150 kilometers from Mangaluru, and say, hey, that actually adds up to the talent density of the region as well. Why do we talk about this whole lot of other talent triangles when it is about Mangaluru and Udupi? Because traditionally, many of the people who reside in these other talent triangles, let's say in the 300-kilometer range, come to Udupi Mangaluru region for studies. And if they get a job, they continue. And that's how they become a talent pool available for the region. So that's why I'm highlighting that. So let's look at what is the exact data point for the talent density in the region. So from a recruiter point of view, when we looked at the active white-collar talent snapshot, there are about 310,000, that means 310,000 people who are the talent who are available for employment. Now, interestingly in this, from a recruiter point of view, 240K is all that we could access. That means 240,000 people. In that, a large portion of it, which is almost 150,000, 150,000 people are between 0 to 1 year experience, a combination of a kind of a fresher with some experience. So it's a large pool. So the remaining 90,000 is what I want to spend time on. In that, if you look at the experience range, the largest cohort is about 1 to 5 years experience range. There are almost 40,000 people there. And 5 to 10 years experience, about 22,000 people. 10 to 15, about 13,800. And 15 to 20, 7,400. And 20 plus 4,300. And if you carefully observe the graph, you will see that as the experience range increases, the number of people in that bracket reduces. That means either the aspiration takes them to another city, and also what is true is maybe there aren't that many opportunities in the region for people to stay on as well. That's where, when you increase the number of, let's say, units available for employment, maybe the talent will stay on. So that's one context to the experience range. What else do we have in this report? I think when you look at the regional talent, the top two locations, like I said, Mangaluru takes the cake, followed by Bhadravati, Chikmagaluru, and others. So that's how the talent spans out. And what is important to see the functionality of which are the industries in which this talent is today employed. 20,000 plus people today are employed in the IT industry. About 11,000 people plus are in the BFSI. Why BFSI? Because once upon a time, we used to call this district as the financial capital of Karnataka. In a way, the banks, many of the marquee banks originated from Mangaluru Udupi region. So that's why you still have a lot of talent in the banks, and that's how the BFSI segment has significant number of talent. About 7,500 people in the manufacturing units here. And hospital and healthcare, which is another jewel in the crown for Udupi Mangaluru region, there are about 5,500 people working there. So there is a talent distribution which I think one can consider if you are a GCC, saying what part of this talent can I hire overnight, readily deployable, right? So in terms of qualifications, I think evenly distributed like any other region. For example, almost 53,000 people have bachelor's, master's degree about 21,000, MBA is about close to 10,000 people, PhD is about 4,500. So if you want a qualification diversity, Mangaluru region has that. And in terms of the aspiration, what do people want to do who are working here, and people who are outside who want to come to Mangaluru region? How does that pan out? I thought it was interesting to sort of uh, reflect on that. When we looked at people who want to come to Udupi Mangaluru region, we saw that almost 23,000 people from Bengaluru, Mumbai, Chennai are aspiring to come back if they have the right opportunity. That's what they say. Whereas if you see the number of people who want to go out of Udupi Mangaluru region is higher, almost 36,000 people. So almost 10,000 more than the, almost 12,000 people more than the people who actually want to come into Udupi Mangaluru region. And that's logical, like I said earlier, because there are more opportunities outside of Udupi Mangaluru region at this point of time for the number of people who are passing out. Remember, this is a region which has 150 graduation colleges, so which is significantly producing about 40,000 grads every year. And you have 25 engineering colleges, so almost close to 10,000 engineers are passing out. So it's only natural that people have more opportunities outside and they're going out. So that's an opportunity for GCCs wanting to come to Udupi Mangaluru region and establish a base for themselves to tap into this talent, which possibly otherwise is coming to or possibly already working in your own GCCs in the big six cities. So that's all today for the GCC Talent Podcast from Exfino. I have a follow-up to this to give you specific anecdotes and the distance and journey that Udupi Mangaluru region has come by in the last few years, especially last 2 years, the kind of journey that the region has undertaken in terms of talent, infrastructure, and the kind of companies which are housing this talent. Some examples, some more data points next time when we catch up. Thank you for tuning in today.